Okay, took a while. YouTube is being weird. Now we are live. Ask me anything for August 8th, 2024. Um, and we'll dive right in. My voice sounds funny. Kids got me sick, so I've got some hard candies that I might go ahead and, use during the show if need be, if my voice gets a little whatever. And I'm sure I'll cough a bunch, and my apologies for that. Okay, we've got a couple just really cool shout outs that I want to give. So this is from yesterday. Somebody tagged me in this on Instagram and I shared it on Instagram. And this is one friend who got another friend to start doing Linchpin. And yesterday we had um, the 30-minute EMOM for snatching, or the day before. And so his buddy wrote him and said, "You know what? Maybe this Linchpin program does actually work. I hit 3 PRs this week. My back squat used to be 305. I just hit 320 pounds. My deadlift was 425. Now I hit 435. My squat snatch was 95. And today I hit 200 pounds. But I definitely could have hit 205 if I just clean it up a bit. And all of that was after the 30-minute EMOM of snatching." Pretty cool. So I shared that on Instagram yesterday. All right, let's get into the primary questions here. And there's a couple that were posted in the squads feature in the btwb app for Linchpin Squad, and they relate together. So I'll read both questions and then I'll go ahead and answer them together. First one's from Alex W. What do we understand by the term aerobic base, and what importance does that have for fitness? I realize this is probably another term that just happens to be in vogue right now, but I'm curious. About it. Thanks, Coach. So that's first question from Alexander W. What's aerobic base and how does it help fitness? And then the next one from Mike McKenzie. Do you find it is more important to have a high aerobic capacity, aka VO2 max, or a lower capacity, but the ability to maintain closer to your max lactate threshold? In other words, would you rather have higher aerobic fitness or the ability to work out near max, but a lower aerobic fitness base? So basically, I see that as if I had to have a higher VO2 max or be able to push my lactate threshold higher, which of those two would be more beneficial for fitness? So all of this is related to aerobic base, VO2 max, lactic threshold, all that stuff. So let's go ahead and dive right into that. So I did a nice little Google search on it this morning to get the actual definitions, because your aerobic capacity for CrossFit and the 10 general physical skills can just be generally defined as the body's ability to process oxygen. And that's profoundly important, hopefully for obvious reasons. Your body needs to be able to process oxygen. And the more that you can do that, the more efficiently that you can do that, you should be able to sustain efforts better. The interesting thing about a lot of these items, historically speaking, were very modal specific. So you might have great aerobic capacity, for example, or a great VO2 max running. That doesn't mean that that would translate to being a beast on the rower, even though that's also monostructural conditioning. If you had a fantastic VO2 max running, that doesn't mean you're going to be able to hop onto the bike, the Rogue Echo bike, and just murder that thing. It didn't translate. So it was specific to the domain that you train. So some of these classically defined pillars that seem to be important in exercise science, the fact that they're modal specific is very important, because we live in a mixed modal world of work capacity, and we do lifting with running with body weight at different time domains and loadings. And that's a different beast that largely is, even still to this day, in its infancy of developing some body of research behind it. And I'll give you some other articles to check out for that. But here we go. VO2 max and lactate threshold are both important indicators of endurance performance and are often used in fitness and performance testing. VO2 max measures the maximum amount of oxygen the body can consume during intense exercise, while lactate threshold measures the exercise intensity at which blood lactate levels start to rise. One more specific paragraph on each that might be useful. VO2 max. Also known as maximum oxygen consumption, VO2 max is a measure of cardiovascular fitness and the body's ability to use oxygen and fuel muscular contractions. It's expressed as the maximum amount of oxygen the body can take in per minute per kilogram of body weight and can range from 30 to 90 depending upon the fitness level. Factors that affect VO2 max include genetics, capillary density, and mitochondrial density as well. So you're not in a VO2 max race. Adrian Bosman always used to say this thing I like, which is like VO2 max is like the gold standard. Why at the beginning of the Boston Marathon, instead of running the whole darn marathon, why don't we just hook everybody up? We'll do a VO2 max test, and then we don't need to run the marathon. We'll just hand out the award based upon who had the highest VO2 max. It's like because that's one of many factors that indicate how you'll actually perform the work, and you still need to run the race. So it's a factor, not necessarily the factor. And one of the key things in there in your aerobic capacity that it said is, where was it here? Body's ability to use oxygen to fuel muscular contractions. So that's why I think helping your aerobic capacity, which we do all the time at Linchpin, is very beneficial to your work capacity, doing tasks in real life, because a lot of times at submaximal loads, if the athlete has to stop working, drop the barbell during Randy, Grace, SQT, or something like that, it's usually not because the barbell was so heavy that they couldn't lift it again, because the previous lift actually had good speed to it, but then they just drop it and can't do the next one because they like hyperventilating. So your ability to process oxygen and recover is going to allow you to get back on the barbell quicker and utilize all that strength that you've developed in the heavy days. And so everything's working in concert here. Lactate threshold. Also known as anaerobic threshold, lactate threshold is the exercise intensity at which the body starts to produce energy anaerobically, relying on carbohydrates instead of oxygen and fats. It's expressed as a percentage of your VO2 max and is the point at which blood lactate levels start to rise above normal. When lactate accumulates faster than the body can remove it, the exercise intensity becomes unsustainable. Training can help increase lactate threshold. That is profoundly important and also affects what we do with the work capacity and mixed modality training incredibly, because as that lactate builds up and that burn happens, if you haven't developed the ability to utilize it and increase your threshold, you're going to have to stop, because like it says, doing the work becomes unsustainable. You need to stop, recover a bit, and go back. So both of them are mission critical. Now luckily, we don't have to make a choice, like, is one more important than the other? You need them all, and we develop them all, and one of the best ways to develop them all is by doing what we do all the time, which is intelligently designed mixed modality training. If you really wanna, geek out, nerd out on some cool old school videos about this, I've got a couple for you. So let's see. These are old videos. Um So go to YouTube, and the name of the first video is CrossFit, a metabolic analysis of CrossFit's elite, part one. And the other one is CrossFit, a metabolic analysis of CrossFit's elite, part two. And this was something we did a long time ago, where some exercise scientists actually that were pro CrossFit came and hooked up some elite athletes at the time and measured what was going on in their body during mixed modality training, because they were the first to admit this data is not really out there. So it was very useful and helpful. Okay. Let's see. I see a comment. Are you aware of tracking what happened during event one? I am aware of what I've heard on the internet, and I don't have a lot of facts. And so certainly not something I'm going to comment on at the moment until I get facts. All right, some questions from the private Facebook group. Rasmus J. Hello. Do you get a data overview on btwb, on member performance? Do you gain coaching insights, et cetera, et cetera? So short answer, yes. Now this question comes up every now and then. Beyond the whiteboard is a fountain of data. So not only do I get access to all the coaching and tracking information from being the owner of Linchpin there, but then, all I am every single solitary day is immersed in data. So there's that data there. Then there's everything that I track and interact with in the squad feature. And through all the metrics there in the app. And then in the private Facebook group of every single solitary day, people posting not only their times, which are useful in loads, but then a blurb on how that workout went, what they felt, how they broke it up, and all that kind of stuff. So yes, it's a constant data immersion, and all of that is all that's in the stew of what we cook. Rebecca B. Sorry, told you I had a bit of a cough. So some weeks of programming feel harder than others. Is that intentional? Or uh, or is it down to the athlete and their particular skill set, the effort that they put forward, their energy level, or perhaps a bit of both? So I'm sure through just the nature of things that not every single solitary week is precisely the same challenge level, but they generally are. So I guess the short answer to your question is I don't program and go, hey, you know what? Um, I'm going to make this week hard and this week and next week easy. So that doesn't, that doesn't work out like that. Mm, Each week I program what is required based upon where we've been. That's what dictates what we do that week, from gross movement patterns to time domains to loadings to all that good stuff right there. So what it probably has to do is to how one particular week feels versus another is the intensity level which you did or did not choose to bring, your sleep, your stress, your nutrition, and then do those workouts just happen to align with something which you're pretty darn good at, or ones that tax you, like maybe below parallel is not your friend, and there's a couple pesky below parallel workouts that week, and they hit you harder than they hit other people, and that affects everything else for the rest of the week. So it's probably largely more on the athlete. I don't set out to make one particular week more challenging than another. Lexi H. Due to some ongoing shoulder issues, my orthopedist has recommended I switch from pull-ups to chin-ups for the foreseeable future. Assuming we're having an unofficial, friendly chat over a cup of coffee, what's your opinion from a fitness point of view if somebody told you they were permanently going to make that change? So pull-ups, um, generally speaking, palms away, grabbing the bar, pronated grip, and then chin-ups, palms facing you, supinated grip. And so if you have to do chin-ups for the rest of your life, I think you'll be absolutely just fine. If that's what makes more sense for you, that's what treats your body better. Um, I don't think in the real world you're going to notice any difference in anything that you do, and you'll still be incredibly fit, fast, and strong. And if you had to get over a wall one day, you're going to grab that palms away more like you would on a pull up. You're not going to grab it like in a chin up style deal. Even though you haven't been doing pull ups and you've just been doing chin ups, but you have to grab that wall palms away, you're going to be just fine. You're going to be so strong with your upper body pulling. You'll be great. So I wouldn't sweat that in any way, shape, or form, Lexi. You will be 100% good to go. And final question here from Eric CM. What Olympic sport or event fascinates you and why? I mean, I like the Olympic lifting just because, since having dabbled with it for the last 20 years, I actually have an appreciation. Whereas before I get into CrossFit and I was just doing, bicep curl and bench press and leg press, I'd see people do Olympic lifting and I had no idea what it was, no idea why it was difficult, no idea why it would be impressive. So I certainly can respect walking out there and seeing the Olympic lifters do what they do is incredible. The other just general thing that I would say, Eric, that I love, track and field. Absolutely love track and field. I could watch that just start to finish, almost every single event from short to long and everything in between. I think it's absolutely fascinating. And because we also run short, medium, and long, right? We do everything from the 100 meters out to 10K. You have such an appreciation for the speed of those people, regardless of the event. It's insane. So yes, I would say that's my favorite one right there. So that's a quick one today. Hope everybody is well. As I record this, it is a rest day. So enjoy your rest day. And we will talk soon.